Hi everyone, welcome to my third and last micro lecture this afternoon. My topic is Provus'S discrepancy evaluation model. Provus is the main proponent of this discrepancy evaluation model, and one of his most widely held works is Discrepancy Evaluation for Educational Program Improvement and Assessment. So, what is an evaluation? Right. So when we say evaluation, it's a way of assessing, let's say, as a student's learning and skill, if your or if our objective are actually attained. So why do we give evaluation? Again, that's the reason why we have to know we have to know how far the learners learned, or let's say how effective the planned program is. So that's actually the reason why we gave an evaluation. Okay, so the discrepancy evaluation model, that is the DEM, is developed in 1966 by Malcolm Provus. So this model provides information for program assessment and program improvement. Okay, so there are actually stages in them. So we have them developmental stages. We have one, design. The second one is installation. The third one is process. The fourth one is product. And the last one is cost-benefit analysis. So let us take this one by one. So when we say design, the purpose of the evaluation is to assess the program design by first defining the necessary outputs, processes, and outputs, and then by evaluating the comprehensiveness and internal consistency of the design. So you have to ask, is the program adequately defined? So that's one thing that you should consider in making your design. The second one is installation. So, where the purpose of the evaluation is to assess the degree of the program against stage one, your design. So you have to ask, you have to consider, is the program installed as defined in stage one? Okay, is it really achieved? Is your design program is really what you are going to do in this part, so in the installation. The third one is process. So it considers where the purpose of the evaluation is to assess the relationship between the variables to be changed and the process used to effect the change. So you have to consider the question that, are the resources and techniques being used congruent with the goals of the program? So that's the process. That's how you're going to evaluate. That's what you're going to evaluate in the process. Next is the product. Product considers where the purpose of the evaluation is to assess whether the design of the program achieved its major objectives. The product. Okay. So you have to consider the question, are the program objectives achieved in the program implementation? You have to consider that so that you could have a better result of your program implementation. Number 4, cost benefit analysis. So you have to consider here your program comparison. Okay, is it really effective? How does it cost? Is the program design being really benefits the intended purpose, the intended let's say beneficiaries? So you have to make use of the comparison. So let's move now to the components of evaluation according to this model of Provus'S. So when I asked you earlier about what is an assessment, here is now the definition. So evaluation is defined as the comparison of an actual performance to a desired standard. Okay. So how are you going now to make your evaluation? Of course, first you have to determine the program standards. So that is determination of program standards. Means identifying your objectives. The second one is determination of program performance. So here, it refers to the program implementation, results, and or accomplishment. Okay, so that is what you have to consider in determination of your program performance. Three, comparison of performance with standards. Again, so this is now how we're going to compare. So you have to examine the similarities and the differences between standard set and performance achieved. So by that, with this comparison, you'll be able to identify maybe the differences of what you have if your standard set is achieved with the performance or output. Number 4, determination whether discrepancy exists between performance and standards. So it means you have to identify the differences. You have to plan which one should be changed, right? That's a very good actually evaluation where after you have identified if there is really a discrepancy, there's really a need to improve, you have to plan it out on how you could further improve the implementation maybe of your program, of your design program. So what is actually the model of Provus'S? So his model suggests that in each of the 5 stages, it is necessary to compare the performance with the identified standards. Then his evaluation paradigm relies to a great extent on the identification of appropriate performance standards. And then his evaluation model also has a clear set of standards that enables the evaluator to make judgment on what is valuable and what is not. Okay, that's actually the concept of his model. So let's have this comparison of performance and standards based on the evaluation model of Provus'S. So these are now the 5 stages. We have stage 1 under performance, your design, so which you consider the space, personnel, the resources, materials, course, your design should focus on those things. And for your standard, you have to make or decide criteria, okay, in order to have a better performance for the stage 1. So in the stage 2, you have the installation, your actual operation. So it talks about your actual operations. So you have to consider if the installation fidelity. And for the stage 3, so the processes. So you have to consider the instruction, the leadership on how your design program is implemented. So your standard is you have to make some process adjustment, whatever you have identified from the processes. Then on the stage 4, the products. So your products based on stated objectives, of course. So your standard is products assessment. So this time you're going to assess if your designed program is attained. So based on your objectives, so you have to make use of the products assessment. And for the last stage, the costs, so you have considered the economic and socio-political political implications. So your standard here maybe is your analysis on how your set or your designed program considered its cost, considered its importance economically and socio-politically. Okay. So what is actually the use of them? So 1, you have to decide which program to evaluate. Then determine objectives for the targeted program. Then you have to plan out the evaluation. Then 4, follow it through by implementing plans to collect information. 5, identify discrepancies between the program objectives and program accomplishments. And of course, you have to plan what to do next based on what you have evaluated. Okay. So what is actually the relevance of Provus'S concept to the video of Batang Langoy? So of course, you have to state first your purpose on what to evaluate. Okay. Then, when you have already set your purpose, you have to design now what program to do in order to solve the problem. You have now to plan out activities. Then, once you have already planned activities, then you have evaluated it, you have to make an assessment if the design program is effective. Then after that, you have to make use of the report if your target objectives were attained based on the accomplished report. Okay, and from that, you have to plan for improvement if the design program is not effective. Let's say, for example, is your solution to Batang Langoy effective? If not, you have to make another plans for improvement. Okay. So that's all. I hope you learned something from this topic. So thank you very much. My references for this topic.